When Stella approached the bus stop, positive words were the last thing she wanted to hear. Her day had not started well. Her old car would not start, because of which she was late, and now she had to use the bus. Why not use the taxi, you might think? Because she could barely make ends meet after losing her job, so she was not going to use any extra money if she could avoid it. And to top it off, the wind was messing up her well-done hair. But obviously the universe had decided otherwise. She could see her from afar. A chirpy-looking old lady. You know the type, looking at the rain like it was something wonderful, humming a little tune and starting up a conversation. Gosh, she certainly did not wish to meet such a person. They always pushed their nose to someone else's business. But what could she do? The old lady obviously had noticed her and was now beaming at her from under her umbrella. Stella tried to look like she was deep in her thoughts so that maybe she would ignore her. "A very good morning," said the lady. Her positive words made Stella sigh. "Morning," she managed to say. She was elderly, after all, and her parents had taught her respect for older people. "A bit of a rainy day," she smiled. "Oh yes, awful weather," Stella replied, trying to keep the conversation short. "Well, I have always enjoyed rainy weather," the old lady said. Stella looked at the road, hoping the bus would arrive soon. She said nothing, just nodded. "I mean, just look at the lovely umbrellas," the old lady spoke again. "The what?" "The umbrellas. I just love the different colors and designs. You wouldn't see them if it never rained. I especially love the ones that have positive words written on them," she spoke with such enthusiasm. Obviously, you would, Stella thought, but tried to smile at her politely. She noticed her umbrella. "What a lovely day," it said. "I see you have positive words on your own umbrella too," Stella commented when the silence was getting a bit awkward. "Where was that bus?" She thought, oh yes. The lady smiled and looked up at her umbrella. "I bought it after the most embarrassing experience of my life." She giggled at some fun memory. Stella did not know should she ask her or not, but by now the lady was smiling broadly at her. Oh, Stella had to admit she was curious now. The lady continued, "Well, you see, I used to be a consultant. My specialty was positive thinking. I trained personnel in companies of different sizes. Positive words especially were what I emphasized in my training." She was awkward now. The lady further said, "Many people don't pay attention how much the words they use affect their emotions. If you use negative words, you are bound to feel more negative than if you use positive words. For example, when you say, 'I hate red cars,' when you could say, 'I like blue cars.' Concentrate with positive words on what you like instead of what you don't like. Mostly it is just a habit we've never noticed." She nodded. But back to my most embarrassing moment. I was invited to address a big audience of a very large corporation. It was quite a thing. Women consultants were not taken so seriously back then. I had worked on the presentation for weeks to get it right. I was ready. And to make myself look trustworthy, I had bought a new suit, in a hurry. The skirt was a bit loose, but the jacket fit well. I took a deep breath and walked on the stage. And right when I was about to reach the center of the stage, it happened. I suddenly felt the zipper open, and my skirt fell to my ankles. "Oh my God," Stella exclaimed in horror. "That's what I thought too," the lady laughed. There was I, a consultant that was supposed to talk about positive words to an audience that was staring at me, with my skirt around my ankles. "What did you do?" she asked. Well, this was a do it or die kind of situation. I had to take it under control. The lady giggled and continued, "I don't know where the idea came. I turned my head and looked at the audience that was totally silent. Got your attention, didn't I? I asked. There were a few laughs in the audience. And you are certain the positive words consultant just cannot come up with any positive words about this kind of a situation, aren't you? This time someone said, I'd like to see you try. Well, I then looked at the audience and said, the positive words about this situation are, now I know what the most embarrassing moment of my life is like. I have now experienced it, and from now on I don't have to be afraid of anything. What did they say? Stella wanted to know. They applauded. And I have to say my lecture for positive words has never had such an attentive audience as that one. After I had pulled my skirt up, that is. Stella couldn't help but laugh. She could see the whole thing in her mind. Good, the old lady said and took a little notebook from her pocket. They were standing right next to each other so she could see what the lady was doing. It was a tiny diary. And there was nothing but small smiley faces she had drawn there. Stella saw that she was drawing, or might say adding, one more smiley face in that diary. What's that? She asked her. This is my positive words diary, the lady replied. But there are no words, just those little smileys there. Exactly. This is a diary where I follow the effect of my positive words. When I see someone who is obviously feeling low, and trust me, dear, you were looking like that, I will try to say something that will make them smile. A little smile goes a long way in cheering up someone. When I succeed, I draw a little smile here. Look. She handed her the diary. Stella noticed she had written on the cover, positive words, and a smiley. The whole diary was full of tiny smiling faces. You have made this many people smile this year? She asked, going through the diary. The lady nodded in affirmation. But here are hundreds, thousands. Oh yes. You see, I have no family left and thought I'd rather spend my golden years spreading some smiles instead of indoors. I have to admit I am a bit selfish. I don't do this only because it makes others feel better. I do it because it makes me feel good. The bus approached. I waved at it and gave way for the old lady to step in, but she shook her head. No, dear. I am not going into the bus. I'll just continue my way. Stella saw her walking under her bright blue umbrella. What a lovely day, the umbrella said. Then the bus turned and the lady disappeared from the view. Stella kept looking at the scenery, deep in her thoughts. She felt certain eyes looking at her from across the aisle. A little girl was sitting there with her mom. She was holding a worn rag doll, and it was obvious the mother could not afford to buy the finest toys. Her mom smiled at her when she saw her daughter staring at her. What a lovely doll you have. I am sure I have never seen such a pretty doll, Stella spoke to the child. The child looked at her rag doll, then at her, and then most wonderful smile she had ever seen spread on the little girl's face. Look, Mommy. The lady said my doll is beautiful. She lifted the doll up in the air. The mother smiled back at Stella. Then Stella reached for her bag, took out her appointment book, opened that day's page and carefully drew 2 smiling faces.